Marine reacts to SCP-001, also known as the Gate Guardian, by SCP Illustrated. Now, as always, I'm going to leave a link to the original video and the channel in the description down below, so go ahead and check them out. Now, I know that there's multiple SCP-001s. I know there's a whole bunch that get submitted, and as far as I know, there's only 18 that are confirmed to be SCP-001s. But then again, there's no definite one. As far as I know, with the Gate Guardian version of SCP-001, that this is the one that's considered it just for certain reasons, which I'm not too sure about. But this is what, from little snippets that I've been hearing here and there from some of the other SCP videos. So other than that, I really only know that he's supposed to guard the Garden of Eden, and I'm curious to see if he has any relation or any type of contact with Cain or Abel or SCP-343, and just curious in general. So like, what is he capable of? Do they contain him? If he talks, if there's an interview, just kind of things like that. Also, don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help me a lot. Subscribe, hit that notification button right there. That way you get notified every time I upload. I usually upload on a daily basis, sometimes even twice a day. Typically working on them in the mornings, and then that way in the late afternoon to late evening when you all get off work, y'all can watch them at your leisure. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and see what SCP-001, or in this case the Gate Guardian, is all about.
General notice. All files concerning the nature of SCP-001, including the decoys, are protected by a memetic kill agent designed to immediately cause cardiac arrest in any non-authorized personnel attempting to access the file. Revealing the true nature of SCP-001 to the general public is cause for execution.
Oof.
Warning. Any non-authorized personnel accessing this file will be immediately terminated through a memetic kill agent. You have been warned.
So you're not even allowed to, read about them?
Continued life signs confirmed. Removing safety interlocks.
I'm assuming that was the memetic SCP?
SCP-001. Object class Euclid/Keter.
Huh?
Description. SCP-001 is a humanoid entity approximately several hundred cubits in height, or 320 meters, located in
Looks like a Yu-Gi-Oh character
near the intersection of the Tigris and Euphrates rivers.
Okay.
The following features are known about the entity. A number of luminous wing-like appendages emerging from the shoulders, back, temples, ankles, and wrists of the entity. Although an accurate count has never been established, most observers place the number of wings at anywhere from 2 through 108, with the mean number being 4. A weapon, possibly a knife or a sword, classed SCP-001-2. Any entity that approaches within 1 kilometer of SCP-001 is immediately struck by the weapon and obliterated from existence. Any and all hostile action taken towards SCP-001 have resulted in the annihilation of the attacker, regardless of range. SCP-001 appears to be standing with its head bowed in a gesture of supplication, with SCP-001-2 held in both hands point down in front of it. Human beings exposed to SCP-001 report hearing a voice in their heads, giving them a directive which the subject reports cannot be disobeyed. The most common directive is forget, which will result in the subject walking away from SCP-001 with no memory of having encountered it. On rare
probably why a
occasions,
whole bunch of people haven't seen them.
Been given. The most famous of these is the one given to the founder. Prepare. This is the organization now known as the SCP Foundation.
Holy shit.
Observers have reported that SCP-001 appears to be standing in front of a gate of immense proportions. Long-range photographs have occasionally detected what appears to be a pastoral grove within, containing numerous other entities of the same composition of SCP-001, as well as several fruit trees of unknown composition. Of particular note are 2 fruit trees of immense proportion near what appears to be the center of the grove. One
Probably
is
the fruit tree in the
an ordinary apple tree, although the other bears a fruit unknown on Earth, described as the tree of the fruit of life. It is a avowed belief of the founder that the gate which SCP-001 guards may be the gate to data recovered. Administrator clearance accepted.
Garden of Eden.
The Garden of Eden. Based on correlations with ancient Babylonian texts and the Dead Sea Scrolls, in which case one can deduce that the entity known as SCP-001 may be Data recovered.
Wait, is he like an angel?
Administrator clearance accepted. Uriel, the angel of repentance, the angel tasked by God to protect the Garden of Eden, and the angel who buried Adam and Abel in the garden. Special containment procedures.
You noticed you didn't hear
Because
Cain.
of the nature of SCP-001, no containment procedures are necessary. 24/7 monitoring of SCP-001 is to take place from a safe 10 kilometers plus distance from the determined location, Site 0. The location of Site 0 is known only to the current SCP administrator and the single overseer level agent of Abrahamic Faith, 05-14, assigned to monitor SCP-001 from Site 0. Said agent is authorized to take any action necessary should SCP-001 become inactive, and is required to immediately alert the administrator and all other overseer level agents should SCP-001 show any change in behavior, as this may constitute the beginning of a Patmos XK class end of the world scenario. Should SCP become active in any way, personnel are required to immediately consult the Patmos series of emergency orders. Decoding algorithms for emergency order Patmos are to be maintained on site at Site 0 in the possession of the designated observer and to be transmitted to the SCP Foundation offices only in the event of SCP-001 becoming active.
So if he's active, we're screwed.
Rapture scenario,
right?
All vital personnel are to designate a secondary operative of non-Abrahamic faith. Said secondary operative is to be informed of the location of the primary designate copy of emergency procedure Patmos and mimetic kill agent inoculant, and is to be kept on ready status to take over the primary duties as necessary. Addendum 001-A Experimentation regarding SCP-001-2's effective kill range. Experiment A.
Did it say he kills all living things?
Class D personnel instructed to approach SCP-001 as closely as possible on foot. Result.
Would he also destroy inorganic things?
Upon making contact with SCP-001, the subject is ordered to leave. Subject immediately turns away from the entity and walks away. Despite repeated orders to continue the experiment, Class D personnel refuses to obey and is terminated. Upon termination of Class D personnel, all research staff involved are immediately obliterated by an unknown force, presumably SCP-001-2. Experiment B.
And they were like 10 kilometers, right, away from him?
Operated research robot, guided to approach SCP-001 from the ground. Upon approaching within 1 kilometer of SCP-001, research robot is obliterated, presumably by SCP-001-2. All further attempts at remote reconnaissance have the same result. Experiment C. 100 pre-programmed research drones instructed to approach SCP-001 from multiple angles simultaneously. Coordination is successful, and all 100 drones cross the 1 kilometer mark simultaneously. However, all 100 are simultaneously obliterated by SCP-001-2. Designated observer at Site 0 reports that SCP-001-2 appeared to strike in all directions at once. SCP-001 did not deviate.
So he is moving then, right? He is moving when there's something coming inside that 1 kilometer. He's not just like standing there.
Missile fired from a distance of 3 kilometers. SCP-001-2 obliterates weapon upon crossing the 1 kilometer mark, simultaneously obliterating the launch site and killing all personnel.
Oof.
Experiment E. Multi-warhead intercontinental ballistic missile fired from SCP nuclear submarine Nautilus. Data redacted. Data recovered. Administrator clearance accepted. Experiment E. Multi-warhead intercontinental ballistic missile, multi-warhead thermonuclear, fired from SCP nuclear submarine Nautilus. SCP-001 is seen to raise its head from its stance of supplication, previously unseen behavior. Administrator at 0514 order an immediate...
They're kind of being asshole to this guy, you know?
Upon crossing the 1 kilometer boundary, the missile is struck by SCP-001-2 and consequently detonates. Approximately 1 hour later, long-range surveillance can see through the smoke and shows SCP-001 still in the same position. However, its wings appear to be wrapped around its body. It is assumed this is to protect it from the heat or the radiation, though this is not known. SCP-001 then enters what can only be described as a rage state, SCP-001 extends its wings to a previous position and then raises and points SCP-001-2 towards the direction of the SCP submarine Nautilus, some 65 miles away, and out of SCP-001's line of sight. At this moment, all remaining thermonuclear warheads on board the SCP submarine Nautilus detonated. The Nautilus, 4 SCP aircraft carriers, 2 dozen SCP.
So is he moving so fast, like there and back,
vessels, and a luxury
and it just seems like it's happening like that, or can he just like somehow will things to like kind of like destroy them, right?
This incident represented one of the biggest uses of amnestics and Foundation influence. The entire surrounding ocean for a distance of 30 miles in all directions was restricted. Local news outlet was screened and monitored for no mention of this experiment. The families of the merchant vessels.
I mean, if they're saying that if he moves out of that area or his position,
the water supply and released via chemtrails.
Why are they trying to? Why are they messing with them?
By executive order of the Administrator and O5 Council, no nuclear weaponry is ever to be used against SCP-001.
Probably a good idea.
F. SCP-076, Able, and Task Force Omega-7 instructed to approach SCP-001 on foot. SCP-076, Able, refuses to carry out the mission, despite not being informed of the mission's nature. Upon being asked why, SCP-076 replies, "No. Just no."
Is he that strong?
Experiment G.
Well, I mean, obviously he's strong, but you know.
Kane. Due to the result of Experiment F, SCP-073 was not informed of his destination until arriving at Site 0. SCP-073 approached the site on foot. Upon seeing SCP-001, SCP-073 became distressed and asked to abort. SCP-073 was ordered to continue.
Would any damage get reflected back
though?
up?
The symbol on SCP-073's forehead became Administrator clearance accepted. Data recovered. At this point, the symbol on SCP-073's forehead became unrecognizable. SCP-073's head appeared to split apart, and an incredible bright light seemed to be coming from it, resulting in 3 security personnel going blind. Experiment was terminated due to the effect this had on SCP-073. SCP-073 began begging SCP-001 to stop, stating, "Please, my lord. Please, Uriel. I do not seek to enter the garden. Forgive me, my lord. Please, forgive me."
Oh, so he knows.
073 was restrained in a Class 5 containment unit and immediately
I'm assuming that's how they know the name.
Upon crossing 2 kilometers from SCP-001, SCP-073 lost consciousness. See Addendum 001-AA. Addendum 001-AA. By executive order of the Administrator, no further experiments are to be carried out regarding SCP-001.
Good idea.
No further SCPs are to be exposed to SCP-001. SCP-001 is not to be used to dispose of dangerous SCPs. Addendum. The following errant transmission was received by Foundation personnel. SCP-001 has left its location. The gate is open. They are riding forth. Oh god, it's so beautiful. Because of this event's confluence with the recent breach of SCP-995, the opening of SCP-616, and the activation of SCP-098, the Foundation is required to immediately begin preparations for an XK-class end-of-the-world scenario.
What the hell's going on?
SCP-076 and SCP-073, Kane and Able, are to be secured immediately. All personnel are to unlock and decode Emergency Order Patmos Omega and follow all orders within. Site 19 is to be secured, and all non-essential SCPs and personnel terminated and or destroyed. Kane and Able, my 2 sons, I am coming. Behold, I stand at the gate and knock, and if any just follow, and is a new heaven and a new earth and the fruit of. Upon contacting Site 0, 05-14 responded that no such message had been sent from his location and that SCP-001 remained inert. The transmission was initially determined to be a hoax. However, close examination of the transmission reveals a timestamp dated years in the future.
Of course they don't tell us.
It is theorized that data expunged. Administrator clearance accepted. Data recovered. It is theorized that the gate to the Garden of Eden exists across all universes and versions of Earth. In one of those universes, set years in the future, an XK class end of the world scenario took place, and Site Zero from that reality broadcast the distress call. The distress call, by unknown means, seems to have travelled through the gate to our own reality.
Multi-universal then. Alright, let's talk about that for a minute, because I was following everything pretty well, pretty decently. Then at the end, as soon as they started saying like SCP, I can't remember the numbers, but they named at least 3 or 4 that apparently they started breaking out. Shit's getting crazy. The Gate Guardian moved. The apocalypse is coming, but it's like it was from a different type of dimension. And that Site 000 sent the distress call and ended up coming into that dimension or that reality. And that the Garden of Eden is, which by the way, would the Garden of Eden be considered an SCP technically? In any case, the Garden of Eden is intertwined through all these universes or dimensions, whatever you want to call it. But yeah, those last few minutes kind of fried my brain as far as trying to understand kind of what was going on. So, definitely I swear to God, like every SCP now that I'm checking out is ridiculously strong or has this crazy ass ability. I feel like they should have put some of the SCPs that they try to kill. I mean, if they get one SCP that isn't actively going out, constantly trying to kill people, and it's just kind of like doing their own thing. For example, with the Gate Guardian, and if he's just standing there, and the only time he would move is if an apocalyptic like event is happening. When I have like 682, drop him in there, or get the Shy Guy or the statue thing. I keep forgetting his number, 173, I think. But then put him in the 1 kilometer area, and it seems like he would be able to take them out. Then again, I don't know how strong he technically is. I don't think we really get an idea as to like the exact strength of a lot of these SCPs. I mean, sure, we get told the things that they're capable of and what they've done, but we never really see like a side-by-side comparison with the other ones. So I would really be kind of curious to see if there's videos out there. I'm sure they are of the Gate Guardian going toe-to-toe with some of the other more dangerous SCPs and just see like who might be stronger, if they can actually kill the 682, get rid of the Shy Guy and whatnot, so on and so forth. And real quick, we found out that Kane doesn't seem like he's welcome there, and he didn't want to be there. The fact that he had to be tricked into going there, you know. I assumed any type of damage off of him would get reflected back to the person doing it, but I mean, it didn't happen in this case. Abel, he wanted no part of it, you know. In any case, the only real connection we got with at least 343 and the Gate Guardian was that 343 just refused to talk about it. Now, I've heard that people have commented that SCP-343 isn't necessarily the God that we would read about, like say from the Bible and all that, or like that he's acting as some sort of God or is pretending to be the big God in a sense. So honestly, I don't know how I feel about 343 now, because now I start thinking of many other questions. And then I'm pretty sure that the author is just going to leave things as the way they are, maybe release some information later on down the road, but mainly just to let us draw our own conclusions as always. So that's going to go ahead and be it for this video. Don't forget to hit that like button. It really does help me out a lot. Subscribe, hit that bell button so you get notified every time I do upload. If you're curious to see what other videos are coming up next, go ahead and check the description. I will be posting the next 5 videos I'm going to be reacting to in there. But until then, I'll see you all in the next reaction video. Bye.